Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. It is post-match reaction showtime after Liverpool's unbeaten run at home in the Premier League has been stopped dead in its tracks after a colossal 68 games by the mighty Burnley and Ashley Barnes. In some ways, it was kind of a predictable way for it to end. You know, the last game that Liverpool did lose at home in the league was against Crystal Palace. These kind of matches have, in the past, been our undoing, and it very much feels like those horrible, sloggy home matches of attack versus defence against a team that really beds in and goes for the smash and grab have once again reared their ugly head after a few years where Liverpool seem to have found a way around that. We're settling back into a rut now where those kind of games are once again becoming the norm, and today was of course no different. It was almost a microcosmic example of how the last few weeks have gone. Everything went wrong for Liverpool. You know, going forward we just had nothing for vast periods of the game. Defensively, I didn't think we were even that bad, and that's what's maybe most annoying about it, is while we deserve to get nothing out of the game, maybe not even a draw, you know, Liverpool's performance today probably warranted 0 points on the board. I don't think Burnley deserved to win it by any stretch of the imagination. It's not like they were tearing us apart on the counter-attack and causing Joel Matip and Fabinho all kinds of problems and forcing them into errors. They just got a little bit lucky at the end of the day, and I'll come on to the penalty later because I don't want to talk too much about that. You know, Liverpool were very much the architects of their own downfall, regardless of whether you think Burnley should have been given that late spot kick or not. And I think the one thing that really frustrated me about this game was I think Jurgen Klopp bottled it with his substitutions. I think he does the right thing by changing things up, by throwing Origi in, as much as Origi has shown no signs of good form so far this season, and by taking Salah and Firmino out, who've both been dreadful over the last few games, if we're being honest. He did what I was talking about in the pre-match video, and I wasn't sure whether he'd go for it or not, which is just shaking things up, trying something different, because you can't keep doing what we've been doing over the last few games and expecting different results. It quite simply isn't working for Liverpool. And one thing we had been doing quite a lot was getting crosses into the box from the fullbacks. And so it made sense to put someone like Origi on the pitch who would actually be a focal point, who the fullbacks could aim for, who could actually challenge for the ball in the air a little bit and try and be a physical presence that could upset the balance of the Burnley defence. So I think it was the right call playing Origi. And if I'm being honest, he doesn't score a goal, and obviously hits the bar with that shot when he's through one-on-one. But I actually liked the way he was playing. You know, he was doing what we need players to do, which is to get the ball into the box and then to just have shots. Not to try and keep passing it round and looking for cute little through balls and nutmeg passes and stuff like that, and try and create the perfect chance where you've got an open goal from 2 yards out, and just trying to get shots on goal. And especially when you're up against a goalie like Nick Pope, you're going to need more than 1 or 2 decent chances to beat him. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. He showed that again today with some brilliant saves at crucial points in the game. And so you are going to need to have a few shots to beat him. And that's what Origi was doing. He wasn't getting the ball in the box and taking touches and taking a while and second guessing himself and laying it off to someone else in more space and hoping that they'll be the one that creates the clear-cut chance. He was taking the opportunities himself. And obviously he doesn't score. Nick Pope makes some saves. He does hit the bar with that one-on-one, which I personally am not too annoyed with him for. You know, you can say that he should be hitting the target, but if that shot's 1 inch lower, then it's an absolutely perfect finish and we're all going absolutely ballistic and he's Liverpool's saviour. Sadly, it doesn't go in, but like I said, he was doing the right things and he was finding his range and he was doing better than he has at any point so far this season. Origi started games before and he's come on as a sub and he's absolutely stunk the place out, if we're being honest. He's slowed everything down. His passing's been awful, but he did the right thing today by not looking to get involved in the build-up play, just looking to receive the ball in threatening areas and take shots on goal. That's what you need from your striker. It's maybe not what Liverpool always do with their number 9. It's not what Roberto Firmino does by any stretch of the imagination. But what we're doing with Roberto Firmino and Mo Salah and Sadio Mane hasn't been working. So it was right to try something different. And it's annoying that as Origi was getting into the game, you know, causing Burnley problems, looked the most likely Liverpool player on the pitch to score, that he ends up getting taken off. You know, Jurgen Klopp has been criticised time and again for making these late substitutions, for not changing things up quick enough when they needed to. But to bottle it really and go back to what hasn't been working was simply bizarre. Listen, if he made a change and tried something else that we hadn't seen over the last few games, then yeah, fine. You can say that while it was working a little bit and Origi was getting chances, we still weren't scoring, and obviously that is the end goal of the whole enterprise. But to go back to what we've been doing against Man United, against Southampton, against Newcastle, against West Brom, and that had produced no decent results whatsoever, I just don't understand why he's done that. Obviously, when you've got people like Firmino and Salah on the bench, then yeah, you want to use them because they are world-class footballers, despite what form they're in. But don't take Origi off when he's playing well, when he's looking like he might finally find form, and actually be a decent backup option for Liverpool. You know, when we're looking for people to give competition to Firmino because he's playing badly, and competition to Salah because he's playing badly, and Origi looks like he might finally be able to provide that after a few years of being a little bit sidelined at the club. Don't take him off, leave him on the pitch, give him more opportunities, because once he went off, Liverpool very much just settled back into this plodding rhythm that we've been in over the last few games, where everyone's frightened to take shots, everyone's frightened to try and beat a man, everyone just wants to give the ball to someone else and let them do the work and rely on a different player to create something magical that you can then just tap in from 2 yards out. I don't understand why Jurgen Klopp didn't stick with what was, like I said, not working, but it was doing better than what we'd had over the last few games, and it really, really frustrated me, to be perfectly honest. I mean, there were many things about the game that were frustrating. Like I said, Salah was poor once he came on, Firmino was poor once he came on, Sadio Mane once again struggled to really create anything. He got into decent positions, but his passing wasn't crisp enough, there wasn't enough venom on the balls he was drilling across the face of goal to his teammates and stuff like that. At times he just wasn't picking people out as well, and it does feel like these players, and it's obviously something that's been going on for a while now, are really suffering without a crowd, because I think we talk a lot about Jurgen Klopp's ability to take good players and make them world class. You know, Sadio Mane arrives at Liverpool, a good footballer, lots of talent, but he really gets elevated when he's at the club, and we credit Jurgen Klopp and his coaching staff with that. Likewise with Salah, likewise with Roberto Firmino. You can probably say it for people like Jordan Henderson as well, you know, people who are at the club when Jurgen and his staff arrived. But I think you've also got to say that maybe the crowd does have a significant part to play in this, because we know that the players like the songs that we sing for them. You know, that there's stories about, you know, Virgil van Dijk humming his own song in the dressing room, Roberto Firmino singing along to the words of Si Senor and stuff like that, and you get the feeling that when they've got a crowd singing their name, reminding them how adored they are and how brilliant that we think they are, that gives them that confidence to take shots on, to try and do audacious things. We know that Roberto Firmino loves to entertain. He loves doing clever little flicks and stuff like that, trying stuff that you wouldn't expect to come off, that you don't think any footballer thought was capable of doing, and yet he somehow manages to do it because he's got that confidence, he's got that self-belief. Mo Salah takes shots on with a lot more confidence because the crowd are singing his name and egging him on. When we drive forward with the ball and Burnley are backpedaling, and the whole crowd is urging whatever player has the ball to just shoot at goal, then they take the shot, and sometimes it gets saved, sometimes it goes over, it gets blocked, but sometimes it goes in. And if it does go over or get saved, the crowd aren't getting on your back and getting annoyed about it. They're cheering you on and saying, keep that up, keep doing it. And we had times today where Burnley were a little bit on the back foot, we were driving forward with the ball, and instead of going for the killer ball or taking a shot on, we were just spreading it wide to a fullback, or we were playing it sideways to another midfielder, and, you know, Wijnaldum's laying it off to Shaqiri to see what he can do. Shaqiri's playing it wide to Robertson to see what he can do. And I just think if they had a whole KLOPP behind the goal, urging them onwards, they're much more likely to just shoot. And I think that's a problem that Liverpool have at the moment, is they're not taking enough shots. They're trying to play... they're not playing the percentages. They're not looking to drill balls into dangerous areas. They're looking to create 100% chance of scoring a goal. And that's very difficult, especially when teams know that's what you're trying to do. If teams have got to worry about you taking shots from all kinds of positions, then it pulls them out of shape a little bit more, and it actually becomes easier to create clear-cut chances. And it just feels like without the crowd, without people egging them on, Sadio Mane has lost his edge. Mo Salah has lost his edge. Firmino's no longer got the flair and the tenacity that we know he's got in his locker. Other players like Oxlade-Chamberlain, who maybe doesn't get many chances in the first team, when he's on the pitch, we're singing his name, we're urging him to shoot from distance because we've seen him do it and score iconic goals from it before. And I just think while the crowd isn't there, these players just lose a little bit. That's not to say they're bad players. That's not to say Mane or Salah it's not to say they're not world-class forwards. but I think they're forgetting how good they are. I think they're losing some of that edge, losing that belief in what they can achieve because they haven't got a crowd constantly reminding them that they're doing it. They haven't got a crowd singing about how they've won the Premier League, singing about how they won the European Cup, singing about all the goals that Mo Salah scores, how you give the ball to Bobby and he will score. When he's got that echoing in his ears, then of course he's going to take more shots in the box and he's going to have more confidence in his ability. So I don't know why. It's not really something that you can say we can improve on in the next few games, because for the foreseeable future we're going to continue with behind closed doors. But I do think if you're looking for an explanation for why Liverpool are the way they are at the moment, I think it is a significant thing that without the crowd urging them on, the players aren't the players that they have been in the past, which is a real shame. And we're going to have to find some way around it because we're not getting the crowd in the next few games. We're going to have to come up with some other approach. And like I said, the most frustrating thing was it almost looked like we might have done. It looked like we might have found a way if we just kept plugging away and going at that Burnley defence the way we were in the first half of the game. Then maybe we would have found a way through. But I think Jurgen Klopp, he panics. He thinks it hasn't worked. It's got to change. We're running out of time, and he's got to bring the big guns on. And listen, maybe I would have done the same thing in his position. Hindsight is 2020. We can look back now and say he should have kept Origi on. But maybe Origi stays on for the 90 minutes, stinks up out the gaff and misses a sitter late on, and we're all thinking, well, if only Mo Salah had been there to take their chance. But I do think that maybe Liverpool need to just be a little bit more confident, take a few more risks, not be so afraid of losing, because we've lost now. The home unbeaten record is gone. There's nothing to protect there anymore. I also think any chance of staying in the title races is not gone completely, but it's certainly not going to be at the front of their minds anymore. You're not trying to keep up with Man City or Man United anymore. The goal now is, for the love of God, stay in the top four, because you can almost write this season off with everything that's happened. The Van Dijk injury, the Gomez injury, the Jota injury as well, the fact that because of COVID and the congested nature of the campaign, we haven't got the resources to go out and buy replacements for the players that have got injured. We've been backed into a pretty difficult corner if we were to try and continue our title defence. So it's maybe no surprise that Liverpool aren't going to be able to lift the Premier League crown once again at the end of this season. And to be honest, when the whole thing is behind closed doors, that's not a huge issue because you don't even get to celebrate it properly anyway. But the worry is that if you don't finish in the top four, if you don't stand yourself in good stead going into the next campaign, then things start to carry over and you get more financial issues from not qualifying from the top four. And then things could start to snowball and Liverpool could go from a very, very good position where they were champions of England, Europe and the world to suddenly heading back down into the position they were a few years ago, and we're suddenly at square one, back to where we were when Jurgen Klopp joined. But listen, that maybe sounds a little bit far-fetched after just losing one game at home against Burnley, but essentially what I'm saying is Liverpool are in a very different fight now. It's not about winning the Premier League. It is about consolidating a top four place, putting distance between us and the rest of the Premier League table, not worrying about winning every single week to try and keep up with City and United and even Leicester at the moment. We can let them scrap it out at the very top of the Premier League table. For now, we've just got to try and turn things around, focus on what we're doing and get ourselves back on track. But for now, once again, it's a disappointing evening to be a Liverpool supporter. Let me know what you thought about the game down in the comments below. Apart from that, that is the end of today's video. So thank you guys very, very much for watching. If you did enjoy the videos, as always, you know what to do. Hit the like button down there. Hit that subscribe button there. If you're new around here, check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days. Don't forget to follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter. And I'll be back soon with the pre-match content for the game against Man U at the weekend. Until then, bye for now.